now it's time for Dr. J.
Do you have an idea?
I'm going to have to cut out like 5 minutes.
Because none of it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what we're talking about today? I hadn't thought about it.
I was going to talk about the politics. What is it? What's it called? The quadrant thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that, but no.
The political alignment model.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I don't care about that anymore.
What about stupid mistakes that politicians make?
Okay. Ooh, Gary Hart.
Gary Hart.
Is the first big one.
Yeah.
Or the first big one that I remember.
But we're dealing with it right now in the state of North Carolina too with
Cal.
What an idiot. What an idiot. Again, you kill your wife and kids and then you have according to this documentary you saw.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
What was it called?
It's called American Murders, The Family Next Door. It's on Netflix.
So how far back?
Has an affair,
Yeah.
like 2018. I remember like when we were watching it and they showed a picture of the wife, I was like, oh my God, I remember this news story.
But you didn't get it in full detail.
I didn't get it in full detail where he's dumping kids in fucking oil tanks.
I am not a proponent of the death penalty. You know this. But this is one of those times it's like, in front of the courthouse, hang him.
The thing is, in the state of Colorado, if you plead guilty to all charges, you get life imprisonment. You don't get the death penalty. This is one of those moments where I'm like, why couldn't this have happened in Texas? That one Ron White joke when he said, all the other states in the union are getting rid of the death penalty. My state's putting in an express lane.
Oh my God.
This is true.
So what did Gary Hart do that was so bad?
He had an affair.
How long ago was
Jessica, what was it? Jessica, what was her name? Jessica something. This was in 87? Because he was one of the leading candidates for the Democratic primary.
Well, he just got caught is the difference.
He got
this
busted.
happens all the time.
He got caught. And it ruined his... Here's the thing. And the only reason why I remember this is because they brought it up with the Hollywood tape. The Hollywood, Access Hollywood tape, right? Because they're like, in 87, and then John Edwards in what, 03?
Yes.
They're,
What was the guy in the bathroom who, what was it, Weiner?
yeah, Anthony Weiner.
Anthony Weiner.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in grade school.
But you have those men, and they're ruined. And the President of the United States is like, yeah, just grab him by the pussy. And it's okay. And oh yeah, by the way, had an affair with a porn star while his wife is pregnant, giving birth.
And paid her off.
And he's still president. But Gary Hart, I don't care. Like personally, I don't care. It's kind of like my attitude when everything went down with Clinton, okay? Where Clinton went wrong, and you and I have discussed this on the podcast before, was he perjured himself. He should have been punished for perjury.
Yes, he should have.
But as far as the affair, I don't care. Now, they did her wrong.
Oh, she was treated like shit.
Yeah.
She never should have been treated that way.
No.
Because it was him. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I like about Title IX, and particularly with regards to sex, or is that the person in authority is the guilty one.
Yeah.
Because they are exerting their power.
Yeah.
The person who's not in power is in a very tenuous position.
Yeah.
And we saw that with Lewinsky.
Yeah. He took advantage of her.
She was a kid.
She was what, 22?
22, and she got punished even though he's the one who who did this thing.
Yeah.
And he got off scot-free.
And I'll tell you what, one of the coolest things I've ever heard Rogan do on his podcast, somebody brought up the Lewinsky thing, another comedian, and he said, we treated her so bad, and Rogan apologized on air. He said, yeah, I treated her bad too. I was in on that, and I am very sorry.
Of all the people to go after, she's not the one.
No. She was easy to pile on. The thing is, have you ever seen her TED Talk?
Yes.
Where she talks about being the first victim of cyberbullying?
Yes. And she actually did a number of interviews where she talks about how badly she was treated.
Yeah. She did one with John Oliver.
He should be ashamed of himself. Not Oliver, but Clinton.
Yeah.
So the affair is one thing. The fallout was much worse.
We'll cut right there.
She has been, I don't know if it's because she was a woman, and I think that's a part of it, why she was treated so badly.
Yeah.
But you can tell things have changed because with Cal Cunningham, this woman's not receiving any of the blame. This is all on him.
It's all on him.
And that's encouraging.
Yes.
That means that despite the concerns that people still have, we've moved in the right direction.
Yes, we have. He'll still get elected.
You think?
Well, the people still vote for him, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
A lot of people, I think, Tom Tillis has got a hell of a fight if he wants to get reelected.
Well,
he doesn't have...
So is it enough not to elect Cunningham? Because so put moral character aside for the time being and just say, what kind of decision-making abilities does the man have that he would do this? Knowing what he's going to be doing.
You and I would think that way. The public's not going to think that way.
Well, and that says something about the public.
Yeah. But again, the public elected a man who said, I'll just grab him by the pussy.
Who had an affair with a porn star.
While his wife was pregnant. And paid her off to shut her up.
If a Democrat had done that.
Oh, yeah. I know.
They would lose their minds.
I know.
They would absolutely lose their minds.
I can't remember if this is an original thought of mine or if I heard it somewhere, but I think...
I hate that.
One of the reasons why they don't care is because most of the people, and I'm not saying anything bad about Trump supporters, but most of the people that are Trump supporters are guys that are like, yeah, you go get him, man. You know? I'd do it too.
But the same people who would say that if this were a Democrat.
Oh, they would be all over it. But why? Okay, so why would they be all over the Democrat, not the Republican? Because the Democrats have been preaching for decades now moralism.
And you can't do that unless you're going to be immoral.
Yeah. And so it's not that the Democrat had done it. It's that, wait a minute, you said we couldn't, and you did.
Well, to be fair, the Republicans said you can't do it either.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Republicans are very blatant about what they do. Go and pray to Jesus, and then go have sex and snort cocaine off a hooker's ass. It's okay, because it's for America.
What's more American than snorting cocaine off a hooker's ass?
I don't know. We ought to ask Lindsey Graham.
Or, what's his name? Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah. There you go.
Harold and Kumar for president.
Bob Saget and Billy Madison.
Oh my God.
Have you ever seen dick for cocaine? The day that Bob Saget became the real Bob Saget.
So what does it say that we don't care? And should we?
Well, okay, so my thing is, what does it have to do with their ability to govern? Because I've yet to hear anybody give a compelling argument on how sexual deviation affects your job. unless you're having sex with somebody that is important in that job, and you're using sex to wield power over them.
Yeah.
Most of them are not doing that. What they're doing is that they're using their status to have fun, to spread themselves.
Tell me what did Yang say about this?
Yang said,
he said it doesn't make any
it's
sense.
all about power. That's all it is. It doesn't make any logical sense for them to do this, for Cal Cunningham to do this. It's just about power. Because anybody in their right mind knows it's going to be found out, as you pointed out. They're going to find out.
So was Yang talking in particular about Cal Cunningham?
Yeah, because they talked about how Cunningham's revelation came out the same day that Tillis came out about COVID. It was a big story. But it's all about power.
I heard about it on an ad.
Yeah.
And it was one of those ads that wasn't affiliated with the Tillis campaign.
Right.
Which is why they can get away with it.
Yep.
Because Tillis did not endorse the message, and you're seeing these all over the place.
Yeah.
I hate when PACs do this. I hate it. I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it.
Well, the Lincoln Project is the worst at doing this shit. They've got one running on YouTube where at the beginning it shows a Confederate flag, and then it's got a picture of Robert E. Lee and then Jefferson Davis, and it says something along the lines of, when the Confederate South broke away, they knew they were traitors and they were committing treason. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, are you serious? And then about halfway through the ad, it shows a picture of Donald Trump, and yet our president stood up for their rights. And like, they didn't have fucking rights because they're dead, you jackasses. Oh my God. Yeah, the Lincoln Project is just obnoxious.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's dirty pool.
Mm-hmm.
And it distracts us from the real issues. And that's what we need to be talking about, but we're not, because we're too busy talking about this other shit.
Yeah.
But to be fair, people like Cal Cunningham made it possible.
Yeah.
He should have known better.
Yep. Yes, he should have.
But now this is the problem. If you want to have affair after affair after affair, become a writer or a rock star. Those are your options. Become a novelist or a poet.
Sorry,
or a rock
that
star.
girl had the exact same car I had. So I was making sure that my car wasn't getting stolen.
Well, look where you are.
Yeah. Oh, it's not that bad.
No, a colleague who shall remain nameless was worried about where I was moving.
Oh, I know.
Because of all the gunfire.
2 blocks away.
I'm like, where's the gunfire? So far, it's been quieter there than it is in my old house.
Mm-hmm. 2 blocks up the street.
Yep. Poor guy. He's just being a good friend.
Yes, he is. He is. He's doing fine.
But the problem is, are they held to a different standard? Are they allowed to get away with more? What would happen to us if we did this?
Oh, we'd be ruined.
We'd be fired.
Yeah. So it's... Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to do this shit.
But again, going back, just go back to 87. They did get fired. Gary Hart's career ended.
John Edwards, too.
John Edwards, too.
What he did was particularly shady.
Yep.
My wife has cancer. I think I'll have an affair. Because that seems... No. Come on.
Oh, you're pregnant? Let me give you some of my campaign money.
Yeah.
Because that's not illegal.
No. Or, what was the name of the... Sanford, the governor of South Carolina, having an affair with a woman in Argentina using my money as a taxpayer to fund his trips. That's the problem.
And what did Trump say? The Tallahassee Trail.
Okay, so that was actually pretty good.
That was good.
That was funny. That was hilarious.
Because he was actually, what he did was he wrote it off as the going on an excursion on the Appalachian Trail. He's in Argentina. And Trump got it all bubbled up.
Because that's what he does.
That's what he does.
So what have we learned, kids? You don't have to be a good communicator to be president.
And that there's a trail somewhere in Tallahassee, Florida.
Unless it's a euphemism.
Maybe it is.
Maybe that's what Trump calls it.
Well, and look at it, look at the two big ones, Clinton and Trump, and they've gotten away with it. You're in the highest office in the land, you're going to get away with it. Look at all the affairs JFK had.
And people knew.
And yeah, people knew. I mean, go back and watch the clip of Marilyn singing to him.
Oh my
it's
God.
blatant.
Yeah,
and then,
she is dripping sex.
Yeah,
In
that is my phrase, and I will allow you to borrow it.
It's very kind of you. Well, I finally found a time when it's accurate. I've never been able to use it before. Because I've found in my life there's no application whatsoever. In my life, it's dripping boredom.
She looked at me, dripping with boredom.
Yeah. You think I'm serious.
At least I think she was looking at me.
The web is a fuck off. The web is a very dull place these days. I made you muffins.
Yeah.
They have no idea what we're talking. The three people watching have no idea what we're talking about.
No, they're like, what the fuck? Oh no, we increased. We had 8 views last week.
Oh.
8.
We doubled our viewership.
Yes, we did.
The question is, should character play a role? You've seen The American President 1,000
Yes,
times.
I think that,
in his speech he says it.
Yeah.
Rumson says that being president is about
It's
character.
about character, and he's right.
And he's right.
Yeah, it's all about character.
So should we be okay?
But it's the definition of character that trips you up. So here comes the postmodernist.
Character is relative.
Yeah. Well, no, it's what, because the problem is in different, and this comes back to the regional thing, in different areas of the country, character has different value. It has a evangelical value in the South and parts of the Midwest. Has an economic value in the upper Northeast. On the West Coast, it's a cultural value, right? So what do you mean by character? In Texas, it's Texas.
Well,
It's got a Texas quality to it.
Well, I think morality in the South is problematic. It has a Bible Belt value.
Yeah.
So whose morality are we talking about here?
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. In the southern parts of the Midwest, it's an evangelical.
Yeah.
Character is based on those kinds of principles. So which character are you talking about?
Well,
are you talking about family values? Because family values get you into trouble.
Well, unfortunately, Cal Cunningham's from the South, so he's got to contend with the evangelicals.
He does. So again, it's different across the country. So these national scandals, like the Cal Cunningham thing may be a big deal here. It's not going to be that big a deal out west or in the Northeast. Yeah, either one. They don't care.
I've got family.
They had Anthony Weiner, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. That was really bad here.
Yeah.
How could you do that? It's the level of stupid to think this makes perfect sense.
Again, going back to what Yang said, it's power. Power makes you do dumb shit. Because you think you're untouchable.
Yeah,
there is no logical reasoning behind it. It's a logic-free zone, Jason.
I just don't know what to say. I mean, honest to God, I don't know what to say about it. Which it makes for a bad podcast.
No, it's fine.
Because I'm bumfuzzled. I mean, seriously.
Are you trumped?
I feel like I am.
Is there a Tallahassee Trail in your life right now?
Sadly, no. Not a long time. So, in the southern sense of character, Cal Cunningham
he's in trouble.
Made a big mistake.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to get elected.
I don't know. I don't know.
How angry are people at Tom Tillis?
Pretty.
and why? I don't think conservatives are going to care that he's taking money from Big Pharma.
No, they're not going to care that he's taking money from Big Pharma, and that whole argument just doesn't even make sense because Big Pharma has a very large presence in North Carolina.
They do.
You know?
And in D.C.
And in D.C. But I'm talking about like Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble specifically in this area, I mean, they've got, 3 plants in High Point, Greensboro. I mean, it's... And then, let's see.
Bayer's big in the
Pfizer,
eastern part of the state.
Bayer's big. Pfizer's big down towards Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. So, I mean, that whole argument just doesn't even make sense.
What are you going to nail him on then?
Good for you, Cal Cunningham, that you didn't take money from Big Pharma in your state, you know. The problem with Tillis is there's still a lot of anger from when he was Speaker of the House down here. When he was part of the legislature leadership that got rid of all those protections for schools, a lot of that budget, basically forced Hollywood out. People have a long memory, especially when you start thinking about when was Tillis there and when did we run into hardships. Oh, Tillis got it easy 4 years ago because he was running against Kay Hagan. She didn't do half the shit she was supposed to do. And so she was on a short wire anyway. But he's not going to have an easy time this time. He may win again.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. And there have been a couple of times over these past 6 years, where I'm like, okay, he did the right thing. You know? And then there were other times where I was like, damn it, Tillis. I will tell you this. In the past 6 years, when I've called our senators, both of them, Richard's Burr message is some staffer that gives you like 6 options, and you press the option that you want because they break it up into categories, right? When I called Tom Tillis, the 2 times I called Tom Tillis's voice was on the message. And there were no options. You just went straight into a general bank.
It's not good.
No, that is good.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You see what I'm saying? Because he's, number one, he's answering the phone for his, oh my God. Is it Republicans or Democrats?
What's wrong?
Democrats.
Texts?
Absentee ballot, yeah. Democrats for NC. Have you gotten your absentee ballot yet? Call now, we'll send you 12. 10 for $5 and 2 for free.
I'm just waiting for the Democrats and the Republicans to put out a message that says vote early and vote often.
Yeah.
Or in Trump's case, vote twice.
Yeah. God.
But no one's talking about that at all.
No. Because it's a joke.
How would they, and I thought about this, and this has nothing to do with morality and sleeping with people. How would you know if someone had filled out a ballot and sent it in when they come to the polls?
I don't know. Unless they're scantroning everything. If that ID comes up twice.
I mean, I'm not one for voter fraud and the arguments that the Republicans are advancing, but I thought about that recently. I'm like, how would you know?
So here's my thing with the voter fraud thing, right? So the 2 biggest cases that we've had recently over voter fraud were Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to think about it one day. I'm like, they're not really worried about voter fraud. They're finding out ways to cheat the system while they're screaming about voter fraud, voter fraud. We need to put these things in place. Okay, boys, now we got these things in place. This is how you get around them. I mean, seriously. Think about it. What's the old saying? The one who cries the loudest is most guilty?
Yep.
Something like that. I know I butchered it.
Well, I never heard it, so it's cool.
No, it's true. There's some old wise saying that, like, you know, the one who's screaming the loudest is always most guilty. One who's crying foul. Whoever smelt it dealt it.
It's actually that was what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's that's the same. That's a stripped down 4th grade version of whoever screams the loudest is guilty. Hamlet. Methinks she protests too much.
Yep.
You know, the guilty will always speak up. So
I don't know.
I
I don't have the answer to that one either.
I will say this. Cal Cunningham had a really good chance until this happened.
Oh,
Now,
I think he had it sewn up.
Yeah, I think his chances have come down, but I don't think he's completely out of it. Because it's a different world.
Did he apologize?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he apologized. I mean, you know, the standard fare. I've embarrassed myself, my family, and my state, and I'm really sorry. And, you know, I hate that you found out about it.
Yeah. I meant to keep it a secret.
I'm really sorry that the secret got out.
Yeah, that's a non-apology apology.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate those too.
It's politics. Now, he didn't say all that, but he did say that he was embarrassed, that he embarrassed his family and himself and his state, and that he was very sorry for what he had done. And there was no excuses for it. Yeah, we know.
Yet you did it anyway.
Yeah, you did it anyway, you dumbass.
Maybe he felt guilty while he was doing it.
No, Jason. I don't think that ever happens. Because if you felt guilty while you were doing it, you wouldn't be doing it.
Maybe. You got me there.
I think there is there's something that clicks in their brains. Because, again, logically, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? And somebody was on a podcast. I can't remember. Maybe it was Sam Harris. And they were talking about addiction, right? And they were talking about. They were actually talking to no, it wasn't Sam Harris. It was somebody else. But anyway, they were talking to a prostitute, and they were talking about, you know, what happened, you know, how would you deal with it, that kind of thing. And she was just like, yeah, I just clicked over. You just make the switch. You know what's going on, but you just don't care. You hit that switch. And I get that because alcoholism, there were so many times where I've told you this before, where I felt like I was watching myself.
I actually, full disclosure, I have bipolar disorder, and I would describe it, now that I'm treated, it's like I was watching a movie, and I couldn't believe what I was doing. Yeah. And I would even ask myself if I was doing it, what are you doing? Yeah. But it's like I didn't have control over that moment.
That's how alcoholism was with me.
There's a reason we compare alcoholism and mental illness, because they're the same thing.
Yeah. Well, any kind of drug addiction.
Yeah. It's
You're watching yourself, but you just click over. So.
You think that's what happened here?
I think that's what happens with all of them. Something happens and they click over. And the habit takes over.
I understand the temptation.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of power, I do get that. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the actual doing of the thing, knowing that this could be...
Knowing it's going to be career ending.
That part amazes
knowing
me.
That it's... And the other thing is, you're on a highly contested ticket in a highly contested year, election year. You know you're already one of the big races that the national media is following. You know, if you get caught, this is not a local story. This is national. And yet he did it anyway.
If he doesn't win, we'll know why.
Yeah. But he just, again, it just... like Yang said, it's just power.
You know who should have run for this seat, and I think would have actually done it with some ease, is Jeff Jackson.
Maybe.
Because Jeff Jackson is squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Family man.
Well, that's how they presented Cal.
Yeah.
He was squeaky clean.
I think Jackson.
Until June.
I think Jackson might actually.
And you know where she was from? California.
I think Jackson might actually be clean. And as far as squeaky clean goes, how much I don't like his politics, I think Tillis probably has never done anything like that either.
No, he hasn't.
And
he's just a dirty politician.
But it's respectable at the very least.
Yeah.
That he knows in his personal life there are lines you don't cross.
Yeah.
And I'd be very surprised if he doesn't play that card at some point with all these ads coming out. Have they had a debate yet?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they have it. They've had at least one.
If they have another one, Cal's in trouble.
Yeah.
Because this is going to come up, and Tillis is going to make the entire election about Cal's character.
Oh yeah.
And if I were him, I can't honestly say I wouldn't do the same thing. You know, I didn't do it. What were you thinking? I would never do this to my family.
Yeah.
I would never do this to my state. If you lost your mind, it would be very hard for me not to ask that question in a debate. Have you lost your mind?
Yeah.
And because you did this thing, what other decision-making skills do you lack?
Right.
And is this going to affect your political life? What else are you going to do when you have even more power?
Yeah.
I've had power, and look what I didn't do.
Yeah. I just took big money from Big Pharma.
ignore the fact that I am a skeezy politician.
Yeah.
I'm a good family man.
I'm a good family man.
I know how to separate my skeezy politics from my family.
Ignore the fact that my mentor taught me how to scam the stock market.
But see that would speak to
that. You know what that's called? That's called cushioning your retirement. Because he knew he was leaving. He knew that the next midterm he's done. Burr's done. So yeah, we'll take some money.
Is Burr stepping down?
No. Well, yeah. I mean, he's not going to he has promised he's not going to run again. This was the last time. So no, it'll be the next presidential, because that'll be 6 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a hotly contested seat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because that was Helms' seat. Because it was Helms and then Burr.
Yep. Well, Cooper's clean at least. He's too boring not to be. I mean, he's dull, which is kind of why I like him.
Governor.
Yeah.
Would you like to join me in the back room? Well, let me first thank you for
that's what I was going to say.
Mentioning, for even considering me for nefarious actions. However, I must say that, first of all, we're going to go through stage 1 of this denial.
And walk away in the middle. Or fall asleep.
Stage 1, I have a wife. Stage 2, I have children. Stage 3, I am a very prominent politician in the state of North Carolina. Now, when we get to, I'm sorry, I said stage, didn't I? Phase. We get through phase 1, the wife. We get to phase 2, the children. This is where my moral character is going to start to lay guilt onto my very being. And I want to appreciate your support of me through the first phase as we work into the second phase. But the third phase is going to be the most difficult.
And he would do that.
I know, right? And she would be like, oh, forget it. I'm drier than the Sahara Desert now, pal.
That's what. Oh my God. But you don't worry about him.
No, you don't.
He's not going to do anything.
No, it's not.
He doesn't know how. I mean, what would that seduction scene look like? You know?
So what are the phases we're working with here?
You forgot phase 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
I don't know what that one looks like, but there'll be no sex after. That's why I'm voting for the guy, because he's just, he can't lie. He doesn't know how. He's so thankful for everything. Because I think he knows, it's like, how did I win this? This is great.
What do we say if somebody tried to assassinate me? First thing, I want to first thank the assassinator or the gunman for exercising his Second Amendment right.
And I don't think he's full of shit.
No, I don't
think that's
so
who he is.
Yeah.
He's that grateful to everybody for everything they do.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't worry about him.
No, I don't worry about him either.
And I hope he wins.
No, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the Burr election when that seat comes open.
Jeff Jackson.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think he's going to be the Democrat.
Well,
till he gets caught sexting. With Governor Cooper.
What are you wearing, Roy?
Well, thank you for asking.
Thank you for asking. Let me first just show my appreciation.
Oh my God.
He sends a selfie back. He sends a selfie back of like 3 buttons on a shirt.
He's so cool.
I don't know if I did this right. No, he would be the one. The girl. Can you send me a dick pic? He sends back a picture of Richard Nixon.
God bless that man.
I know, right?
And he also has no desire to be anything other than the governor.
No.
Which means he's not trying to climb this political ladder.
Yeah.
Which means his first concern is actually his state.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yep.
He's not dynamic. He's not charismatic. He's a good executive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who you want. That's kind of the problem with these national races, though, is you have to be charismatic. Why is charisma high on the list of things you have to have?
Because people listen.
Yeah, I get that part. But
when you're boring, they don't listen. That's why Al Gore.
No.
Go back to 2000. You know, we always fuss about
that's why he won the election.
Bush
Bush
stole the election away from Gore. Blah 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 blah.
Gore
But
was
do you
boring.
remember the debates? Because Saturday Night Live had a field day with Gore, not because of what he was saying, but how he was saying it, because he was so fucking boring.
He was. But the man would have made a good executive.
He would have.
And see, that's my problem.
He had plenty of practice.
You don't. I mean, I understand charisma. I get it. I know it speaks to people. But at the end of the day, I want someone who's going to govern well.
Yeah.
And if they can't give the greatest speech ever, okay. My problem with Bush wasn't the fact he couldn't give a good speech. It's because I think he was honestly clueless. Like, what do I do? I don't know what to do.
Daddy, I got a problem here.
His father wasn't a great speaker either, but he was a good executive.
He was a good executive. Congress is saying that they won't do what I asked them to do. How do I deal with that, Daddy? Well, Junior. Sorry, that was Reagan. Well,
Junior.
Yeah, well, Junior. It wouldn't be prudent. Think of 1,000 points of light, son.
Oh, Dana Carvey. Stay the course.
Stay the course. I love George when George reacts to it. I don't talk with my hands.
He was a good sport.
Yes, he was.
Again, though, not a particularly dynamic person.
No.
But a good executive.
Yep. Again,
disagree with everything he did, but he was really good at what he did.
Looking back, GW wasn't that bad. He was just an idiot.
No, had any other time he would have been harmless.
Yeah.
But he happened to come into a mess.
Yes, he did. And he left with a bigger mess.
He did. Well, he was asked what is his biggest regret in office. He said, saying mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Never should have said that. Never should have said that.
And that was total politics. That was nothing more than that.
And he was a family man. He didn't cheat on his spouse.
Yeah.
He didn't do things that were, the only thing he did that was dumb was almost choke on a pretzel. That's it.
But you give the man style points because he dodged not one but two shoes. And the look on his face is like, what?
What? Shoe?
What was it? His George Sr. Choked on the thing with the Japanese, right? And passed out.
Yes,
Didn't
right.
he pass out?
He passed out.
Ah, the bushes.
Don't feed him.
Don't feed him.
Just don't eat. For the next 4 years, eat nothing. 1 grain of rice per day.
Have you seen the Will Ferrell special he did right after the end, like after Bush left office? He did a special as GW, and the bulk of the show is him telling this story about how he, his dad, and his 2 brothers went on a hunting trip. And they get trapped in this cave.
This is Will Ferrell.
This is Will Ferrell. And he's doing all the voices of all the Bushes. All the Bushmen. And he goes to Jeb, and Jeb is speaking Spanish.
Well, that was Jeb's selling point.
Yeah, and he goes from that to George Sr.'s, shut the fuck up, Jeb.
Well, that's...
And and the way they get out of this cave is all of a sudden they're sitting there, and all of a sudden the rocks start to move. And there's Barbara on the other side just taking the rock and just heaving them. And he said, she took 2 of us on one arm and 2 of the other, and she hauled our asses out of there.
Barbara Bush was a beast. She was a beast. You know she didn't tolerate shit from anybody.
She did. Yeah.
She was cool.
She was. But it was so funny. You need to go see it because it's hilarious. Just hearing him do all the voices and the shit they talk about.
He was a great Bush Jr.
Yeah. Yes, he was. The last SNL skit that he did as GW, he declared when he declared the economy as part of the axis of evil, and then made the executive order that the White House would be a bummer-free zone.
Is this where you got it?
That's where I got it from. He's like, I have signed Executive Order 455. The White House is to be a bummer-free zone.
He's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Almost as funny as the real thing.
Yeah. How would you wrap up your campaigns in one word? Lock, box, strategery. Daryl Hammond doing then we would take the lock box and we put it in a bigger box.
He was not the right choice for the nominee. This is probably the other thing that bugs me is how do we get to the ones that we get?
Well, that's kind of like the thing, if you go back and watch the Crossfire thing with Jon Stewart and Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, this is right after, this is while Kerry is running for president. And Tucker asked him, he says, is he the best you can do?
That's a good question.
And Stewart said, I don't know. He said, I know we do a primary system and he won the primary. But is he the best? I don't know.
It's an honest answer.
Yeah. So.
Well, they also have, and this is you're talking about corruption on a very basic level, and I'm sure our friend Matthew would disagree with me, but superdelegates proves to be a big problem.
It's a super huge problem
because you can circumvent the wishes of the people.
Yeah.
And there are Bernie bros out there who would make a claim that Sanders got screwed for that very reason.
Yeah, because of that.
And I'm not in line to disagree with him.
I would agree 100%.
Although he's the one who could win the election, because what do they have on him? What do they have on him? What has he done? He's done nothing. He's just crazy.
He's Jewish.
That's it. He's from Vermont and he's Jewish. Those are the only strikes against him as far as... Stephen
Colbert does the best impersonation of him. We would take the 1% milk off the shelves. Whole milk for everybody.
I like when Bernie Sanders referred to the White House as public housing.
Yeah.
I still love him. I cannot help myself.
He's funny.
He is funny. And again, he's probably squeaky clean. And you would think that would be the guy that would speak to people.
Yeah.
And he's compared to the leftists of the past, he's not far left. Everyone's moved steadily to the right.
Yeah.
Including the left. So
well, remember what I told you about my quadrant. I'm further left than Bernie is. How's that possible?
I don't know. Do you believe in high taxes and public housing?
No.
That doesn't make sense.
The question wasn't high taxes. The question was, do you think taxes are, how do they put it? Do you think taxes are a means to a better society? And my answer is like, yes, I strongly agree. Taxes are a means to a better society. If you want a better community, you have to invest in that community.
Yes.
That means the community has to invest in itself.
Yes.
I'm 100% behind that. That doesn't mean that I think we should raise taxes.
You wouldn't disagree, though, that we should raise taxes on the very wealthy.
Oh, absolutely we should. Okay, let's back up. Because that's tricky.
It is tricky.
So, and I had this discussion with my son. Okay, raise taxes on the wealthy, fine, do it. Raise their income tax. You'll get a ton of money the first year. You won't get shit the next year, because you know what they'll do? They'll cut their salaries.
Yeah.
They'll find other ways to get that money.
They will.
So you can't get them for income.
They'll play the system.
They'll play the system. And this has been my argument for a couple years now. You want to get their money? Take away the deductions.
Agreed.
Remove the deductions.
For anyone who's making above a certain amount.
Certain level, like, cap it at $250. Like if you're making $250,000 a year or less, these are the things you can deduct. Okay, and you can use those deductions all you want. Over $250 a year? No deductions.
I would even raise it to $1 million. I would be willing to raise it to anything above $1 million a year.
Right.
No deductions.
Right.
Because that takes care of that top 1% who continues to get away with murder.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we're really worried about. We're not worried about the family making $300,000 a year.
Yeah, I know.
They're not the problem.
Because here's the thing. So let's say that, okay, so the next question is, well, wait a minute. If you go after their income and they're going to cut their income, see you later.
Have a good day, guys.
You too. You cut their income, then they're just going to report lower income. Okay, well, then they can report lower income to avoid, not giving away deductions. But here's the thing: the kind of deductions we're talking about are millions of dollars worth of deductions.
That's right.
So if they're capping themselves at $250,000 a year, deducting millions of dollars from their annual income is not going to do them any good. Just get rid of the deductions.
Well, and corporate taxes should be higher too.
Yeah, absolutely. So cap them off, take away the deductions, and tax the fuck out of the corporations. And if they decide to do business outside the United States, hit them with tariffs.
And you don't have to.
You want to tariff somebody? Tariff the American companies that are going overseas.
Agreed.
And bringing stuff back.
Agreed.
Hit them. That's who you should be tariffing.
But they're untouchable.
They are. So, but honestly, that's the easiest way to do it. That's how you'll get their money. Just take away their deductions. Now you put them in a real bind. Pop them. If they were, or they are American citizen, they are forced to pay taxes. Chase them down. Get them.
We had some years ago. Mark Rabel. Mm-hmm. You know who he is?
Yeah.
He had said, and he's not wrong. He said that the system looks a lot like the system defends those who create it.
Yeah.
And he's talking about institutional racism when it comes to incarceration, mass incarceration, because he sees it on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. It's the same here. Who creates the tax code? The extraordinarily wealthy.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to be the ones that benefit from it. If the middle class or the poor created the tax system,
we'd benefit.
we would. Everybody would benefit,
Yeah.
including the wealthy. Better roads across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Health care for all, period. We would lower tuition.
What was it he was going to pay for it off of a 0.5% tax on investments?
Who?
Bernie.
Yeah. Tell me he's wrong.
Half a penny.
Half a penny.
That was how he's going to pay for it.
And it was brilliant.
It's ingenious. Even Yang has said that's genius.
And that's why I like Bernie as much as I do.
Yeah.
Because he's not talking about raising taxes for the middle class. Nor is he talking about punishing the poor either.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the rich, the wealthy. In fact, he's only talking about the 1%.
Yeah.
You'll notice he never talks about those making millions of dollars a year. It's always the 1%
The ultra billion.
who own most
Yeah.
of the economy, most of the GDP in this country.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to, he's your guy. Well, Yang is my guy. And
Yang's got some great ideas.
universal basic income. The whole point behind all of it is you give them money, they're going to spend it.
And it's going to go into the economy.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. And I think Bernie would agree with the universal basic income too.
Yeah.
And they've tried it in other countries and it's worked wonders.
Because you're beefing up the economy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're giving the middle class something to do in the economy besides just work.
Yeah. Of course, the concern...
And it benefits everybody.
Of course, the concern is, and it's not an unreasonable concern, are they going to spend their money and put their money into the economy, into the community, or are they going to pay down debt?
Yeah.
If they're paying down debt, it doesn't do any good.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Unless you tell them that paying down debt is not deductible.
Yeah.
Going out into the community and spending money.
Mm-hmm.
You could eliminate the sales tax if you actually tax the wealthy in this country.
Yeah.
There's a lot you could take care of if you actually tax the people who are benefiting from the system.
There's no reason why Amazon came out of not having to pay taxes.
That's bullshit.
They should have been the biggest taxpayer in the country.
Our friend Matthew was talking about this. He had said that there's a reason why people refer to the Senate as the Millionaires Club. Do you really think they have a vested interest in raising taxes?
So, what did I tell you? When they passed that tax code, the next day when we came to work, I told you, they know two things. They're not coming back in 2020. They know they're on their way out. And look at the ages. They're setting up their retirements.
They are.
That's all they're doing. They're making sure they have a good, solid retirement.
How much did you get from it, honest to God?
Nothing.
Because it's not about us. It's not about us.
And I loved how the economists, CNBC really pissed me off during this whole period because they were talking about like, well, you're going to see a difference in your paycheck. I think I saw $40. Okay, great. I'm going to buy a carton of cigarettes, maybe. Thanks. Thanks, Uncle Sam. You gave me a tank and a half of gas. Good for you.
Yeah.
I didn't see enough.
Well, and it was also designed, if I'm not mistaken, so correct me if I'm wrong, it was also designed, boy, we've gone well off target.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But this is more exciting.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the tax cuts for individuals was limited to so many years, whereas the corporate tax cuts
Are permanent. Until they fix it.
That should tell you something.
Until they fix it.
Yeah. That should tell you something
It's
about who
actually
they're
going to come
protecting.
back on the middle class in 10 years? We're going to be paying higher than we're paying now.
And that should tell you who they're protecting.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with us.
So
And that's why the what you and I have been saying for, months is that this is about money.
yeah.
We can talk about race, and we should. We can talk about gender politics,
It's about money.
and we should. But we need to talk about
Money.
and economic discrepancy. Disparity.
Yeah.
That's the conversation we should be having.
That's what got me paying attention to Yang. Because all he was talking about was money.
And economic disparity.
Yeah, he was not talking about race.
No. And again, should we talk about it? Is it a problem?
Yes.
Yes. But can we also?
Is it the number one problem?
No.
No.
No, because you eliminate a lot of problems by eliminating economic disparity.
Yeah. and what problems are left over, then you attack the racial gap. Because the racial gap will be all the problems that are left over. Invest in the poorest neighborhoods, and you get rid of crime. Well, you don't get rid of crime. You drop it significantly.
The same with drug use.
Yeah. Because what have I always said? You know, what I tell you the other day, well, a few months ago. Here's what's the basic motivator behind all crime? I'm hungry.
Yep.
And I can't get food.
Yep.
So I'm going to steal.
Yep.
I'm either going to steal valuables so I can sell them to get food, or I'm going to steal food so I can eat.
And then drug use.
And then drug use comes in because they're depressed.
If you live, well, and this is very personal, but I'll speak of it anyway. Since the separation, my drinking has gone up.
Yeah.
Because of that, there's a direct correlation. So why can't we make the same connection to poverty and drug use? Of course they're going to do drugs because life is shit. Yeah. You're living under an underpass.
Yeah.
You're going to get high.
Yeah.
Because your life is horrible.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the only escape you get.
Yeah.
We could eliminate so many problems if we simply eliminated
when we look
poverty.
when we look at a lot of the homeless, it irritates me when people argue a lot of the homeless don't care that they're homeless. And that's probably very true, but not for the reasons you think. They don't care because when you're hooked on something, you don't care, period.
About anything else.
About anything. So yeah, they don't care that they're
Where's
homeless
your next
because
high?
Where's the next hit?
That's right.
Exactly. Give me money. When I'm standing on the street corner, give me cash. That'll get me my next hit. That'll get me my next bottle.
There's an anecdote. I don't know if it's true, but Billie Holiday was a drug addict, and Miles Davis. She asked Miles for money.
Yeah.
For drugs, and he gave it to her. And one of his friends said, "Why would you do that? She's just going to get more drugs." He said, "Because she's sick. Because she's sick."
Yeah.
It's a sickness, and it's a sickness created entirely by poverty.
Yeah.
And why? And it drives me nuts because the only way to fix this problem is to pour money into the problem. I know that sounds counterintuitive.
No, it doesn't sound counterintuitive.
Universal basic income is one of the ways to do that.
Again, give them the means to get their food, the crime goes down.
Yeah.
The depression goes down.
I think a hell of a ticket. I wouldn't care who's at the top of the ticket would be Yang and Sanders.
Yeah.
That would be a great ticket.
I would say Yang and Gabbard.
And that'd be fine too.
I'd be all over that ticket. You would see me do something I've never done before. I'd go campaign for those. I'd be out there volunteering every day for, if it was a Yang Gabbard ticket, I would campaign like a son of a bitch.
You think Yang's going to come back?
Yeah.
You think he'll win?
I don't know. Depends on the mood of the country. 20 years ago, he wouldn't have had a shot. He's got a shot now. The more desperate we get, the more shot that he's got. Same thing with her. You want to talk about balls. This is an Iraq vet. This woman is an Iraq vet that saw action.
Yeah. That
worked on decapitated limbs, that worked on boys that were badly hurt.
It's going to be really hard to make her look bad.
Yeah. They go after her for the homosexuality thing. Big fucking deal. So was Obama. She's not that way anymore. Get over it.
People change.
Tulsi has apologized. Tulsi has said, my views have changed dramatically on this subject. Very aware of where I went wrong.
But cancel culture doesn't allow for forgiveness.
Oh, you should go and look at the clips where she was on The View. When, and it was, one of the times she went on The View was right after Hillary had come out and said that she was a Russian apologist because she had backed Assad. Because she had gone and talked to Assad. Remember this?
Yeah.
And she went on The View, and they came after her, and she went back after them, basically cornered Joy. and told her, you're the one that started all this. You're the one that said all this. You're the one that took her message and ran with it without looking it up, without looking up what I actually did. And you promoted it. She tore her up, man. That's why I say, you want to talk about balls? Oh, that girl's got a set of cojones that Bush is afraid of. Or not Bush, Trump. Well, Bush is probably afraid of him too.
Bush probably admires it.
Yeah, Bush is probably sitting back, those are some nice cojones. Cajones.
And I say it in Spanish.
I say it in Spanish.
He does know Spanish. He's
I
fluent.
know he does. Yeah, they all are fluent.
The whole Bush family.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you live in Texas.
That's right. You don't mess with Texas. They got a saying where I come from. You don't mess with Texas. They also say, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
You'll never be fooled again.
Never be fooled again.
Someone's
He didn't do it right. He stumbled all over. He's like, you never be fooled again.
someone's channeling the Who. That's what happened. He's had the Who song in his head.
Oh my God, probably the whole time.
He was
Laura, put on the Who. I got this damn song in my head. When he's out there at the fence, and he's like, we're going to go out there, we're going to find them terrorists, we're going to root them out of those caves, we're going to make sure that they know that we are America, and we're not going to stand for any terrorist act. Now watch me as I hit this ball.
I can't believe he said that.
I know, it's so great.
It's like, how did this guy become president?
Even a C student can become president. That's what he said.
Well, where did you go to school?
Yale.
So a C student at Yale is okay. I mean, that's not bad. You're doing better than most America would.
My daddy wanted me to be a part of this special group called the Skull and Bones. I didn't understand it. They put me through some odd initiations.
Did he actually talk about it?
No.
I was going to say, he should have.
No, but I think Will Ferrell did a bit on it. It was hilarious.
I think his problem is he was really clueless.
He was.
He was an innocent.
Yeah.
He was naive. And they took advantage of him.
We joke about Rumsfeld and Cheney, but they ran the show.
They did.
And you can run the show without the person realizing you're running the show. And those are two silver-tongued devils right there, man. Both of them. What was it Rumsfeld said? You don't know truth. How did he put it? When he basically said that truth doesn't exist.
Oh, God.
You remember that?
Yes.
They were asking about the WMDs.
What is truth?
Yeah, what is truth? Yeah.
Yes.
God, the Meet the Press, I think it was David Gregory, when Cheney went on. And Cheney is just, at one point, like, I think it was David Gregory. He's sitting on the other side, and Cheney is just getting closer and closer, and you can see he was starting to get redder and redder.
He's angry.
Because he was getting angry. And it's just like, ugh.
Cheney had one really good moment that I admired. I was surprised that I agreed with him. I didn't really agree with him, but I agreed with part of what he said.
Yeah.
It was a town hall, and the journalist asked him, he said, given the fact that your daughter is gay, how do you feel about the president's policies on homosexual marriage? Mm-hmm. And Cheney, his VP, said, I disagree with the president. It should be a states' rights decision. The federal government should have nothing to do with gay marriage.
Right.
I agreed with one half of his answer. The other half
is politics speak.
Yeah, it can't be it.
You can't have it both ways.
No, you can't. You can't. Not unless
because
you
the problem
redefine
is
marriage.
It's not a state's issue.
It's constitutional.
It's constitutional. We talked about that a couple weeks ago when we went over the Constitution. We did the 14th Amendment. I said, let me explain how the 14th Amendment works, and I used the gay marriage thing. So it's all in property. They cannot keep you from gaining property, which means they can't keep you from getting married. It all came down to property. And I told him, I said, don't listen to, when you go back, you're going to hear all kinds of crap about morals and ethics and all this stuff. No. Had nothing to do with morals, had nothing to do with ethics, had nothing to do with the U.S. going to hell in a handbasket. It had everything to do with the fact that the Constitution, the piece of paper that we govern our country with, guarantees anybody the right to property.
Yep.
And the minute you deny them the ability to obtain that property, you have gone against the Constitution. No state, and it's in the Constitution, no state shall inhibit them from gaining property. That's what that whole thing came down to. It's unreal.
Then there's the facts.
So, yeah, then there's the facts right there. I don't care who you are. Or as Andy Griffith would say,
An unabashed liberal himself. What would Andy Griffith say about this character debate? Looking at the show that he created.
Okay, so are you talking about Andy Taylor?
Yes.
Are you talking about Ben Matlock?
Or
are you talking about Andy Griffith?
I'm talking about Andy Griffith and Sheriff Taylor.
And Sheriff Taylor.
Because they overlap significantly.
Yes, they do. Andy Taylor, I think Andy Taylor would be, does it inhibit him from doing his job? Because what was he while he was sheriff? A widower.
Yep. They're doing a marathon right now.
Really?
Yeah, on TV land of Andy Griffith shows. Because it's the 60th anniversary.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow.
Time flies. And
yeah.
Because we were born 15 years after that show started. You want to feel old? There you go. You're welcome. But they're doing interviews with some of the cast members, and they interviewed Ron Howard, and they said everyone talks about the Andy Griffith Show as being about family. He said, but if you look at the family, there's no wife because he's a widower.
Yeah. They
live with their aunt.
Yeah.
What family are we talking? This is not a traditional family.
No.
The show was never about traditional families.
No.
It's about
community.
It is about community. And that's the ultimate family.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think Andy Griffith would say? Being a liberal himself, would he say, as long as you can execute the duties that your job
that's
requires?
What I'm saying. How does it impede his office?
My concern has always been the same concern. It never goes away. Is what kind of decision-making skills can you have if you're willing to do something like that?
That's stupid. Yeah.
And that for me is, I don't know if it's a deal breaker, but does this actually bleed into your professional life? So
here's the thing, and this is the thing we haven't talked about at all during all this. We're coming back to it's good that we're coming back. We circled back.
Yes.
Very good, Jason.
You're welcome.
He probably didn't hold a staff meeting when he made this decision, but all the decisions he's going to be making in office, he'll have staff.
Yeah. And
he'll have guidance.
That's a reasonable answer.
And I think that is where, again, so my question is, how will it does it impede his ability to act in office? And the answer is no, because they build a staff to keep themselves from it. They don't build a staff because they have low self-esteem, right? No. They build staff because they know they can't do this by themselves. No. It's a lot, and it's happening fast.
Yeah.
We talk about how slow Congress moves, but those people are constantly doing something. They're always doing something. They're always talking to somebody. They're always cutting deals. They're always doing... It's constant motion.
And they're fundraising.
They're doing all kinds of shit. These vacations they take, they don't stop working. They come home and they go around and they do speeches.
Even when Congress isn't in session.
Yeah.
That's when they go home.
Yeah. And they talk to their constituents.
They campaign.
And that's part of the job.
Oh, it's an 80-hour-a-week job.
Yeah. So you have to have a staff to keep you from making dumb mistakes like that while you're in office.
Too bad he didn't have a staff to keep him from making this mistake.
I know, right? Well, he had a campaign staff. And again, where was she from?
Yeah.
California.
I doubt his staff knew anything.
I'm sure a couple of them did.
Well, if they knew, that's a sit down and have a conversation.
Well, it is, and I'm sure it was, it was probably, how are we going to deal with this when it comes out?
Because it's going to come up.
Well,
first thing you do is tell your wife, this is what I did.
Yeah.
I want you to know before the whole country
finds out. Does, yeah. So, honey, there might be a news article or 2 or 300 on Monday. It's just about to break.
Well, we wrapped around.
Well, except for Trump, right? So Melania's like, Donald, did you say that on the Hollywood Access? Yeah. Okay, Donald.
That has got to be the most frustrating job on the planet, being his staffer.
Or being his wife.
That poor woman.
I know, right?
We don't talk about her enough.
No, we don't. I think when it's all said and done, and years from now, we're going to look back and we're going to find out all kinds of shit that she was doing behind the scenes, and we find out that she was probably a more influential first lady than we're aware of.
Oh, sure.
And that she's probably going to be one of the best first ladies we've ever had. That was the thing with Laura, right? You hear all this stuff about Michelle Obama. But
Laura was a liberal.
And I don't want to say, don't you dare think that I'm talking smack about Michelle. But
no, Michelle was great.
Laura Bush busted her ass.
She did.
All 8 years.
She did.
And she did so many good things. She was a hell of a first lady.
She was.
She made Hillary Clinton look like a fucking joke.
And a Democrat.
Yeah.
So that's got to be an interesting marriage.
Yep. Well, no, but here's the thing. You look at him. I mean, really look at him.
He's not a conservative.
No. He's not his daddy's conservative.
No.
He's not Jeb's conservative.
But I can just imagine her saying, oh, George.
Yeah.
Oh, George. You can't.
God, there's a funny anecdote that Jenna Bush Hager talked about on the Today Show one day. They were talking about, it was Father's Day. And they said, what are some funny stories of your dad's? And they went around the table and they got to Jenna Bush Hager. And they were like, what's a funny anecdote of your dad? And she said, I think it was after Mission Accomplished, and how everything just kind of fell apart after Mission Accomplished. And so her and her sister would go around, and anytime he did something, they would say, Mission Accomplished, Dad.
Oh my God.
And he would just laugh.
Because that's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
Well, we ended where we began.
Yes.
And somewhere in the middle, we talked about, I don't know what we talked about at this point.
Economy.
This was just a conversation.
It was good. I think it's good. 118 minus 5 minus another 2. We got about $1.12 here. An hour and 12 minutes.
So
not 110.
long. That's so
An hour and
long.
12. No, it's only about 2 minutes longer than our normal.
I thought we've been going 45 minutes recently.
No. Well, that one time we went 45 minutes. We were talking about Judith Butler.
Oh.
But there's a reason. We were talking about Judith Butler.
You couldn't do much more.
You can't do it. That's a deep well. Actually, it's not. It's very shallow.
It's a problematic well.
It is. Actually, it's not a well at all. It is a water gathering hole. Water gathering pit. Excuse me. If you call it a hole, you're gendering it.
So, how do I continue to disaffiliate myself with your comments?
Oh, wait. There's more. Because the bucket penetrates the hole. And that bucket, in its phallic semblance, represents the masculine side of our culture. And thus we should free the well of the bucket. Rename it the pit. And instead just lower ourselves into the well to where we can gather the water in our own hands.
Or throw our children in there.
Well, yeah. Oh, God. Oh, baby Jessica. You remember?
Yes.
Oh.
In the well.
I still don't understand how that even happened.
Well, she was
Because when they found her, she was like this. She was like, what, 2? But how do you get how? Like, the mechanics of that whole thing just doesn't make sense
kind of
to me.
impressive.
It is. It's very
But
impressive.
she fell in, right?
Supposedly, but I mean, we're not talking about like, a well We're talking about like a well, like a current well. The pipes aren't but like this big. How the hell did she get in there? And like I said, when they found her, she was like this.
All children have a suicide wish. They all do. It's like possums. Children and possums want to die. And they will find ways to make that shit happen.
Oh my God.
Tell me I'm wrong. You can't, can you? Because you know it's true.
Okay.
All right, wrap it up.
I'm the barber. That's Dr. J. Peace.
Now it's time for Dr. J.